Hey, I'm John Cannell, and today on Preppy Kitchen we're making a decadent Oreo cheesecake. So let's get started. First off, we're gonna make the crust, so grab 26 Oreos and pop them into your food processor. If you don't want to use a food processor, just crush them in a bag and pop them into a bowl. To my Oreos, I'm gonna add half a cup of melted butter, just pulse and drizzle. Let's open it up and take a look. It's a wet, sandy mixture, and it does hold together into clumps. And now I'm gonna use my spoon or a spatula just to give this one final mix because the butter kind of gets flung onto the side of the food processor. If you're doing this by hand, just drizzle the butter into your bowl while mixing with a fork, and then you'll have a sandy mixture. You can also use your fingers to break it up if needed. Now we're gonna grab an 8-inch springform pan and get to pressing. Now dump your mixture into your 8 or 9-inch springform pan and get it all out. Grab a flat-bottomed glass and you're going to give it a little bit of a shake just to spread things out and start tamping it down.
Papa, can I help?
Yeah, did you wash your hands?
Yeah.
Come on up. Okay, this section is very easy. So this is gonna be an Oreo cheesecake. What you're gonna do is use your flat-bottomed glass here and be kind of gentle, but firm. So I'm gonna push these out for you here. Use the cup and press, press, press. That's gonna tamp it down, and when we bake it, it'll hold everything together. And I'm gonna help you with the sides. So we're gonna move some up to the side, like that. Don't worry if you get some gaps forming on the bottom, we'll fix those last. And press up the side like this. 1, 2, 3. So you're getting a wall. I'm gonna finish this up and call you back when the cheesecake's ready. How does that sound?
Okay, bye.
Bye, have fun playing. If any part of your wall is a bit too high, just knock it down with your fingertips like that and then keep pressing. My crust is ready to go into the oven, 350 for 10 minutes. It'll be really fragrant by the time it's done. In the meantime, we're gonna make our filling. While my crust bakes, we have a little bit of prep to do for the filling. We need 24 Oreos, 12 are gonna be roughly chopped and 12 are gonna be finely chopped into a little bits. Just give these like a chop into like quarters or thirds. It's nice to have big chunks in your cake. They look really pretty when you cut them open and you have like a nice big mouthful of Oreo. We're gonna set these aside and grab 12 more to give them a crush. If you're using your food processor, you can process these up. I'm just gonna give them a fine chop. Now it's time to set these Oreos aside and grab a big bowl and a hand mixer or your stand mixer, fitted with a paddle attachment. Into the bowl of my stand mixer, I'm adding 3 8-ounce packages of room temperature cream cheese. One of the keys to any cheesecake recipe is using soft cream cheese. If it's hard, you'll end up with little lumps of cream cheese dotted throughout, and there could be more chance of cracking, which is not great. I'm also adding half a teaspoon of salt for contrast. There we go, sprinkle it in. And 1 cup or 200 grams of granulated sugar. Add that in. We're actually gonna use a whisk attachment for this, although if you wanted to use a paddle attachment, it would be totally fine. Just before I pop this onto medium speed, I'm gonna measure out 3 tablespoons of flour into a sifter. There you go. Lock it off, go to medium speed. While your mixer's mixing, just sift in the flour. Just like that, not awkward at all. Or you could pause it and do some sifting. Continue mixing and sift some more. You want this mixture to be creamy and homogeneous. However, if you're using a stand mixer, chances are the bottom of your bowl is full of unmixed nonsense, so give it a good scrape. There's also flour all over the place. I don't know if the mic's picking it up, but my kids are having a ball in the playroom right now, so you might be hearing them. They're having quite an imaginary game. I think one of them is pretending to be a monster. Just in case you're wondering what the noises are. Mix this just a little bit more, and I've measured out half a cup of sour cream. This is the secret ingredient to give you a really light, beautiful cheesecake. The Oreos are very rich and decadent, so you want the cheesecake to be light, fluffy, and amazing. And the sour cream is what's gonna do that. So let's add our sour cream in right now. If you're making this recipe, it's a good idea to have your cream cheese out early in the morning and have your sour cream out as well. That way, it'll kind of warm up to room temperature. If it's ice cold, you can get little clumps. I'm also adding in 1 tablespoon of vanilla for a lovely kiss of flavor. Mix this up once more. That looks silky and wonderful, but some eggs and an egg yolk are gonna give this an even lighter texture and some more structure. So we're gonna crack 3 eggs into a bowl, one at a time. We're checking for shells, that would be unappetizing. Okay, back onto medium-low speed, and now I'm gonna add the eggs in one at a time, waiting for the first to incorporate before adding the next. Standard cheesecake procedure. Even with the first egg in, you can see the texture looks so nice and silky. While that's mixing, I'm gonna crack 1 egg into that bowl and grab the yolk. Your clean hands are the best tool for separating egg yolks, by the way. They're so soft and they know what they're doing. In you go. This looks perfect. I'm not gonna scrape the bowl down one more time because we have some spatula work to do. By the way, when you're making a cheesecake, never take these lumps off the top of your spatula or whisk. This is lumpy poison because it will not mix in. It's the hard cream cheese from the very beginning of our mixing journey. You could scrape it off at the very beginning, but if you waited till the end, just leave it, don't add it in now. I've made that mistake, so you don't have to. Grab your crushed Oreos, and these guys, I would say, have like a medium chop. I didn't go crazy because if you fully process them or make them into a powder, the taste is fine, but your cheesecake loses that contrast between white and dark, which looks really pretty. It becomes kind of a muddy color. Totally up to you, it's really about aesthetics there. Now we're gonna fold these until it's just like almost incorporated. Don't go crazy and like really mix your heart out because the cheesecake tastes delicious. The Oreos taste delicious, so you could have little swirls of blank cheesecake throughout and it'll look nice. Right now we wanna create some layers, so grab 1/3 of your batter and add that into your springform pan. And now I'm gonna add in half of my chopped Oreos. Add another 1/3 of your batter in. Just go right over those Oreos. Now we're gonna add in the remaining chopped Oreos. It looks really pretty when you cut into this cake. And I'm just trying to make like a nice even layer so they're well distributed. And now we add the remaining batter. Add that over the top. Move it around to get nice, good coverage. Put a little bit of a shimmy just to level things out. This will help surface some of the air bubbles which might mar the top. But I have to tell you, we are gonna cover this cheesecake in a really simple but show-stopping decoration with whipped cream and Oreos. But first we have to bake it, so grab a rimmed baking sheet or roasting pan, place your cheesecake on top of that. This is just in case there's any leaks. And now we're gonna pop this into the oven at 350 for 10 minutes, then reduce to 300 and bake an additional 40 to 50 minutes or until there's a slight wobble in the center. Your cheesecake shouldn't crack, but if you're paranoid like I am, you can grab a cake pan or a casserole dish and fill it with an inch of hot water and put that on the bottom shelf of your oven. The steam will help keep things like nice and beautiful and prevent any kind of burning or cracking on the top. In you go. My cheesecake is out of the oven and cooled, so it's time to make our ganache. And oh my gosh, I have had the worst cracks with this cheesecake, and it's a trade-off. So here's the deal. You want your cheesecake filling to be totally like the same throughout so it bakes evenly, but we added a ton of delicious Oreos inside, and every time I make this, I'm like, oh, it'll be smooth. And it cracks because of the Oreos in there. It's filled with cookies, so of course they're gonna bake differently. Anyways, it's totally fine though. No one will know. It looks crazy right now, but we're gonna cover it with a pool of ganache and it's gonna look stunning and be delicious. We have 2 types of chocolate for this. We have 1 cup of white chocolate and about 20 grams or 2 tablespoons of semi-sweet chocolate. When you're melting white chocolate, it's best to use a chocolate bar. The white chocolate chips just don't melt as easily and they're kind of a pain. White chocolate has a ton of cocoa butter and it can tend to seize in the microwave because it gets too hot. Break this up into pieces so they're all similarly sized and small. No giant chunks hanging around because those will just be lumps that you're waiting and waiting and waiting for them to melt. Once it's nicely chopped, grab a microwave safe bowl and we're just going to transfer this over. I'm also gonna measure out 1/3 of a cup of heavy cream. And there are several ways that you can do this. You could heat the cream up so it's steaming, then pour it over and microwave in bursts. You could add the cold cream and microwave in 20-second bursts, stirring in between. Or you could pop this onto a pot of simmering water, making sure the water doesn't touch the bowl so the steam will gently heat it up. Any of those will work fine. Today, I'll use the microwave. So nice. This only took 50 seconds. So it's 1 burst of 30 seconds. I stirred my little heart out because I could tell the chocolate started melting right away. And then one 20-second burst, and I just stirred, and it's super, super silky and perfect. This can get set aside, and we're gonna repeat a similar process for our tiny little bit of dark chocolate. Chop your 20 grams of chocolate. It's a really small amount, so I'm going for a fine chop so it melts quickly. And for this, if you wanted to use chocolate chips, that's fine. I would still give them a little chop. Transfer this to a smaller microwave-safe bowl, and now we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of cream. 20-second bursts, we probably only need a couple, and stir in between. This cheesecake looked wild on top. When it comes out of the oven, it'll be really cracked. Then as it cools down, the cracks will kind of come together. And if they don't come together enough, you can just kind of press it so the cracks come together, and everything will get covered with ganache. It sounds very haphazard, but that's just what happens when you have a composite solution. Use a knife or offset spatula just to break that seal and remove the cake. And now, with confidence, slide your cake onto the stand. Pour the ganache all over the center. Look at that. It forms a beautiful, perfect pool. Now use a knife or offset spatula just to smooth it out a little bit towards the edge. Grab little dollops of the chocolate and just scoot them onto the white chocolate. You just want to have it covered with little blobs, but with lots of white space in between. Now grab a skewer and just start swirling it around, and immediately you'll see that it looks amazing. It's like a beautiful marbled surface. Do you see how much better this looks? It's gonna look 10 times better with our finishing touch. So pop this into the fridge and we're gonna make a batch of whipped cream. A simple batch of whipped cream is gonna make this cake pop and add a beautiful sense of lightness to it. So 1 cup or 240 mils of heavy cream, cold please. A 1/4 cup of powdered sugar. Start mixing on low and add a teaspoon of vanilla. And now we're gonna increase speed to high, and the secret for whipped cream is just to mix it until it's very soft peaks and finish it by hand. Yeah. I got distracted for a second and it almost overwhipped. Okay, that looks pretty nice. Perfect. This is ready to go into a piping bag with a star attachment. I'm using my favorite 846 tip for this, and you're just gonna do a rope pattern. It's gonna be real beautiful. Look at that, so simple. I'm using a turntable. If you don't have one, I saw you could just grab the turntable from your microwave, pop it onto your counter, and it works perfectly. I was shocked. It's a very good hack. No one would know this cake is so cracked. It's our secret. Oh, it looks so pretty. There's one final flourish. I chopped some more Oreos in half, and now we're just gonna place these right down along the border, like every 2 swirls or so. Hey George, you wanna come try the cake?
Yeah.
I didn't have to call you twice, did I?
No.
All right. 1 for you. 1 for me. How's it taste?
Good.
Any more details?
No.
This is a lovely
There you go.
Let me get you a plate for this. It's a lovely symphony of cheesecake, Oreos, chocolate, whipped cream, and it is just plain delicious. I hope you had a chance to try this recipe, and if you like this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to check out my cheesecake playlist. Do you want some more?
Yep.